Hey everyone, and welcome to this new series that I'll be creating on my channel where we'll be discussing in each episode of the series a new case of a hair transformation. And for this week's case, we have one of the most impressive hair transformations that I've ever seen in the industry. And this one is brought to you by Post Hair Transplant Tips by Amit. The guy behind this channel is called Amit, and I'm gonna make sure to post in the description a direct link where you can go and check, subscribe, and like his videos because I'm gonna give you enough reasons in this episode why you should do that. It's not only because of his hair transformation, which is amazing, but the guy has a good personality. I find him to be extremely likable and ethical and professional. His videos are well made. He's posting on a regular schedule, so a good YouTube channel to follow if you're looking for updates and you're thinking about doing a hair transplant yourself. And of course, we should keep in mind that we are only studying and seeing these cases because we want to benefit from these people's experiences ourselves. So in the end of the video, I'm going to give you some points, some advantages that I see Amit have, some unfair advantages, some characteristics of his hair, of his nature, of the hair loss that he has, that made him capable of achieving such a wonderful result, and some disadvantages that he was able to somehow overcome. So before jumping to the first hair transplant that he did, because Amit was a Norwood 6 plus Vertex, so he had to do 2 hair transplants. But before jumping into that, let me give you a brief review of his case. So Amit is 32 years old, or 33 if I'm not mistaken. He has Norwood 6 plus Vertex, so he has all of the hairline, mid-scalp, Vertex, and deep into the Vertex as well, demolished by the effects of DHT and by androgenetic alopecia. And as far as I know, and as far as I've read in the comments, he was not taking any medication prior to him deciding to go with a hair transplant. He's started some medication, finasteride, 0.5 milligrams each day, I think, and minoxidil after the hair transplant, but not before undergoing the hair transplant. So that's a brief explanation about the case of Amit. But for now, let me show you the results of the first hair transplant that he did with Vera Clinic. So as you can see here, they performed a 6,100 graft transplantation from his donor hair into the mid-scalp and hairline, because that's the area that most clinics tend to attack firstly if you have a complex case like this one. So they don't tend to start with the vertex, they tend to start with the hairline and mid-scalp because that's how people see you on the street. And they did, again, 6,100 grafts, and this is the result, and I think it's beautiful. And this is now the second result from his second hair transplant, which he also did with Vera Clinic. And for this one, they transplanted 4,000 grafts. That makes it 10,100 grafts total, which we'll talk about that in the end of the video. And in this hair transplant, they did not only the vertex, which was completely bald, but some mid-scalp and hairline grafts were transplanted as well. And Amit himself said that these little grafts, these little number of grafts that they transplanted in the mid-scalp and hairline did add, and he noticed that they added some density to the hairline, and he was quite satisfied with that. For the Vertex, Amit is regularly posting update videos each month and sometimes even twice a month regarding his hair transplant for the Vertex area. So make sure again to go and check his channel for watching these update videos. But for now, he's on the 9th month, and this is the so far progress of his Vertex. And we know that the Vertex transplantation takes a little longer to show the full results. So we should wait for 1 year, 1.5 years, and even 2 years in some cases to see the full potential of the hair transplant that we performed on the Vertex. So yeah, we'll keep seeing the progress, but for now it's looking amazing. And he said it himself. I remember watching a video of his, and he said that for a long time he wasn't feeling comfortable going out on the street or going to work without any hair concealers, without Topic or those brands. But he's able to do it now, and comfortably. So good for him. Now a quick word that I want to say about Vera Clinic, the clinic in Turkey that Amit chose to do the transplant with, I didn't really have the biggest support or best ideas or most positive ideas, should I say, about this clinic before listening to Amit and watching his videos. Because to be honest, I've seen some not really good results coming out from that clinic. And Amit himself, I remember watching his first video on his first hair transplant, he mentioned that he did have some not satisfactory experience, but some things that he didn't like about the interaction that he did with the doctors in that clinic, in terms of they didn't give him enough space to fully explain what he wanted and his expectations, and he didn't feel quite listened to. But he said that he's really satisfied with the results, and the results are what really matter in the end. And for his second hair transplant, he also said that those little defects, those little things that he didn't like in the beginning were completely repaired, and he had some good interaction with the clinic. And yeah, so one personal anecdote wouldn't definitely change my mind completely 180 degrees about one clinic, but when credit is due, we should say it. And props to Vera Clinic for achieving such a wonderful result. Now, what factors allowed Amit to achieve such wonderful results? Why don't we see these results or look-alike results frequently? Well, for starters, Amit transplanted or underwent a hair transplantation for 10,000 grafts. I mean, some people don't have 10,000 grafts in the whole donor area, let alone extracting 10,000 and leaving maybe 10 more thousand. And that the first criteria, I think, and the most thing that Amit was genetically blessed with is having a dense donor area. I've also noticed that his hair grew out to be thick, so the nature of his hair also maybe gave him more advantage in that regard. But some disadvantages that I see are the nature of his hair, in terms of he has a straight hair, which is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it makes it harder for the hair transplant doctor, surgeon, to make the illusion of density, because you need to transplant a lot of numbers of straight hairs in a area in order to cover it, whereas if you had curly hair, you would need a substantially lesser amount of hairs to cover that same area. So the nature of his hair, the straight nature of his hair, made it a little more difficult for the surgeons to perform the transplant. So that's a disadvantage. And the second disadvantage that I've seen in Amit's case is the contrast. He has light skin and black hair, and that would make it, of course, a little more difficult for the surgeon again to perform the transplant and to create that illusion of density, against if he had a blonde hair to work with and a light skin, or a dark hair and a completely dark skin. But the contrast that I've seen in Amit is a quite disadvantage, and he was able to overcome it. But the most important factor, in my opinion, is the density that he has in his donor area, which allowed him to do this 10,000 grafts hair transplant. Again, special thanks to Amit for allowing me to use some of his clips and being open for me to share his story on my channel. Amit, if you're watching, I'm a big fan of your channel, and keep up the good work. And that's it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to press the like button, subscribe, and check the link in the description if you want to book a meeting with me. With that being said, stay safe.